What is up, everybody? It is JT Sports. I am back to you guys with another video. This video, I'm here with my Super Bowl 55 preview and prediction between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, this was my initial preseason Super Bowl prediction. Now, everybody pretty much agreed with me when it came to Kansas City once again returning to the Super Bowl because it pretty much was Kansas City and everybody else in the AFC. Now, on the other hand, a lot of people disagreed with my prediction that Tampa Bay will win the NFC and that they will make it to the Super Bowl because there were a lot of people out there who were saying that I was overrating the Buccaneers. There were a lot of people saying that Tom Brady was washed up, he wouldn't be a good fit in Bruce Arians' system, and that Tampa Bay didn't have a good defense. And here's what I was telling everybody. I said, first of all, Tampa Bay had a top 10 defense in 2019. The only reason why the stats didn't reflect that was because Jameis Winston was turning the football over too much, putting their defense in bad field position and at a disadvantage. And I said, with Tom Brady at the helm at quarterback, he's going to help out the defense, even though he doesn't play defense, because he's not going to turn the football over that much. And I told everybody before the season began, you guys can go back and look it up, I said that Tampa Bay was going to have a top 10 defense before the season began. And what does Tampa Bay have? A top 10 defense. So it looks like I was right about that. Then I told everybody, I said, listen, I am never going to doubt the GOAT. Because what has been the trademark of Tom Brady's career? Proving doubters wrong. Tom Brady has been doubted for his whole entire Hall of Fame NFL career. Think about when he first came out of the University of Michigan. People doubted his ability to even make it on the NFL roster. People say he didn't have a great arm, he was too scrawny, didn't have any athleticism, he wouldn't even make it through training camp. Well, Tom Brady gets drafted by the New England Patriots. He makes the roster. He ends up becoming their starting quarterback. And then all the doubters kind of go quiet. Then a couple of years later, Tom Brady tears his ACL. Then the doubters reemerge. The doubters say Tom Brady will never be the same after his ACL injury. He comes back and he's even better than what he was before he tore his ACL. Then the doubters come back in 2014 and then they have, the infamous cliff scenario where Tom Brady just slowly declines until he's not able to perform at a high level anymore. And the so-called cliff theory, that was proved to be wrong as well. Tom Brady proved those doubters wrong. Then, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots lose to the Philadelphia Eagles led by backup quarterback Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. Then everybody says that the New England Patriots dynasty is over and that Tom Brady is going to decline and that the cliff is going to emerge. Well, what happens the year after? Tom Brady and the New England Patriots go and they win the Super Bowl against the LA Rams the year after, where everybody felt like the Rams were just this new blood. They were going to be just this new dynasty emerging because they had all this talent. You had, the flashy head coach. You had the flashy new quarterback in Jared Goff. You had this flashy offense. And nobody really respected the Patriots going into that Super Bowl, in my opinion, because everything they did was just old school. It was too traditional for them. They didn't really have any, flash to them. Meanwhile, you just had this flashy team in the LA Rams heading into that 2018 Super Bowl, which the Patriots ended up dominating them. This was an offense that remind you was scoring 30 points a game that season on average, and they only got held to 3 points. Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl. So then, Tom Brady and the Patriots lose in the wild card round to Tennessee. Then Tom Brady leads the New England Patriots, and everybody says Tom Brady is going to end up declining and he's not going to be all that great like people expect him to be in Tampa Bay. And I don't really think a lot of people expected Tom Brady to even be as good as what he was this season in Tampa Bay. Now, I told everybody, I said, listen, Tom Brady realizes that he's not the same quarterback that he once used to be. He understands that. Hence the reason why he wanted more talent on New England, and New England wouldn't give him more talent. Hence the reason why he chose to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and free agency, because you have one of the best wide receiving cores in the NFL, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Now you got Antonio Brown. On top of that, you add in tight end Rock Gronkowski, and now Tampa Bay actually has a running game. You have Leonard Fournette, you have Ronald Jones, a good 1-2 punch, and the offensive line has also improved as well. On top of that, you have a top 10 defense. You have Bruce Arians, who is one of the better coaches in the NFL, and you may have the best coaching staff in the NFL. So for Tom Brady, he has had everything at his disposal to be successful. Like, I'm pretty sure Tom Brady knew that he is not the same quarterback that he once used to be a decade ago, which is why he realizes that for him to still be able to compete and perform at a high level, that he needs a better team around him to be successful, which is why the whole move to leave New England was motivated. And you can say that Tom Brady was probably doubted, or felt like he was being doubted by Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots organization. Maybe you can say that the Patriots didn't value him enough to the fact that they doubted his ability to remain the franchise quarterback in New England, which is kind of another reason why he might have chosen to leave New England as well, that nobody really talks about. But everybody's just making this Super Bowl about Patrick Mahomes and the Brady matchup. But I think the most intriguing thing going into this Super Bowl that I'm watching is Tom Brady, because I mean, Tom Brady has been doubted so much, and he's being doubted once again heading into the Super Bowl because the Kansas City Chiefs are a 3-point favorite to win this game. So for me, another question I have is, I've been watching the media coverage of the Super Bowl so far this week, and the reason why I like to watch other people's opinions is because I want to see what all these analysts have to say, because I want to know how my opinions on this game lines up with everybody else. You know, the people who are getting paid millions of dollars to talk about this. So I was really disappointed after watching what these so-called NFL analysts had to say, and watching the Super Bowl coverage by, the national media really made me realize that these so-called analysts never really have anything meaningful or insightful, in my opinion, to say. Because what I think an analyst is supposed to do, what my job is as an analyst, is to be able to watch the game and break things down into a perspective for you guys to understand. And I pride myself on making sure that every video I make, you guys are able to learn something from it. Okay, if you can't watch one of my videos and you can't come back with more information than what you did before, or you can't learn something from one of my videos, then I failed my job as an analyst, because I'm supposed to be able to break things down. I'm supposed to analyze things for you guys to understand. Because listen, a good example of this is the Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford trade. People were trying to figure out why the LA Rams gave up so many first-round picks for Matthew Stafford. And I said, this trade wasn't just for Matthew Stafford; it was also to get rid of the contract of Jared Goff. A lot of people didn't really look at it that way. A lot of people didn't really understand it until after they got done watching that video. Because the diehard football fans understand, like, you have a player on a bad contract, then of course you have to give up a couple of more draft picks to get that team to want to take that contract. And the average NFL fan, which the majority of you guys watching this are, you guys kind of were a little bit confused about that. So with the fact that you guys now understood that if you have a player on a bad contract or expensive contract, for a trade partner or the team that you're trading with to want to trade for that player, want to take on that contract, you have to kind of incentivize them to do so, which is why the Jared Goff trade and the Matthew Stafford trade ended up involving so many first-round picks that Detroit was able to receive in return for Matthew Stafford. So for me personally, if I'm not, explaining things for you guys to easily understand, and you're not able to learn anything from my videos, then I feel like I have failed my job as an analyst. But really, one of the so-called analysts said that Patrick Mahomes' legacy is on the line. I don't really understand how Patrick Mahomes' legacy is on the line in the Super Bowl. He's 25 years old. He's been to 3 AFC championship games. He's been to back-to-back Super Bowls. I think that the media has kind of just put Patrick Mahomes like in this box that, you know, they have overrated. Well, I'm not going to say overrated him, but they've kind of overvalued his career to this point that now like they just have to, you know, try to self-impose these high expectations on him because they were already ready to claim him a first ballot Hall of Famer if he was able to retire right now. So for me personally, I think the media's expectation and, you know, the realistic expectations that me and you guys have as fans are way different from what the media's expectations are, because let's face it, we know that if Patrick Mahomes loses this Super Bowl, this is not going to hurt his legacy. Now, you may be like, okay, he lost to old man Tom Brady, okay, but at the end of the day, nobody's going to remember, you know, the fact that he lost to Tom Brady if he ends up coming back and wins 3 more championships. Like, it'll be in the back of our heads. Yeah, we won't forget, but it won't be in the forefront, something that we're going to remember in the long term when Patrick Mahomes' career is, you know, said and done. So me personally, I don't really understand the narrative that people are saying when it comes to Patrick Mahomes' legacy being on the line. That doesn't really make any sense to me. I can understand if he was like 34 years old and this was one of his last seasons in the NFL and his last opportunity to win a Super Bowl. But let's face it, Kansas City is probably going to be the next dynasty in the AFC because pretty much it's Kansas City and it's everybody else. Now, Buffalo is coming up close on Kansas City, but still, it's still Kansas City and the rest of the field. So I don't understand how Patrick Mahomes' legacy is on the line. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. But hey, that's just what happens because the media has just put so many high expectations on Patrick Mahomes, with them already wanting to make Patrick Mahomes a first ballot Hall of Famer, despite the fact that he hasn't even played a 7-year career yet. Now, everybody's going to be talking about Tom Brady, and everybody's going to be talking about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, but I think that the Buccaneers defense deserves way more praise than what they are receiving, because this was the 8th best defense in the regular season when it came to yards per game allowed. Now, their passing defense has been really inconsistent throughout the year. It's been pretty up and down. Last week, in the NFC Conference Championship game, they got shredded by Aaron Rodgers. They also are 6th in the NFL in sacks per game, so they have a really good defensive line. You have JPP, you have Shaq Barrett rushing off the edge. They have the best run defense in the NFL for like the 2nd straight year in a row. They are 19th in third down defense, and they're 19th in points per game allowed. So this is a really good defense. Now, the biggest matchup in this game to watch is going to be the Buccaneers defensive line versus the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs, because the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line has been banged up for pretty much the whole entire year. They're missing offensive tackles Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, who are not going to be playing in this game. So I want to see how this offensive line is going to hold up against one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, because Green Bay kind of has similar problems on their offensive line heading into the NFC Conference Championship game, and Tampa Bay's defensive line was able to take advantage of that. So I want to see just how effective is Tampa Bay's pass rush going to be against Kansas City's offensive line, because if that's the case, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to do a lot of improvising in the Super Bowl. Now, the Buccaneers defense is really solid. When you look at the front 7, okay, we know how good the defensive line is, especially with Vita coming back. He came back in the NFC Championship game, but he was kind of limited. I think we're going to see him take a little bit more snaps in the Super Bowl. You're also going to have Antoine Winfield playing in this game as well. So this is going to be a Buccaneers defense that is going to be at full capacity, but the Buccaneers secondary has kind of been really inconsistent. Now, the last time the Buccaneers played Kansas City, because this is not the first matchup between these two teams matched up week 12 in the regular season. Tampa Bay lost that game 27-24. The Buccaneers secondary got shredded, and it got shredded by Tyreek Hill alone. Like, Tyreek Hill in like the first quarter nearly had like 200 yards. He had 13 receptions for 269 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. So my question is going to be, how is the Buccaneers defense going to go back and rewatch that film, or what are going to be the adjustments that they're going to make when it comes to covering Tyreek Hill? And that's one thing about this Buccaneers secondary. Like, this Buccaneers secondary has been really good at times, like against the New Orleans Saints in the divisional round, but at times they've been really inconsistent, like against Green Bay and against Kansas City week 12, because like this secondary is just really up and down. Like, they have some talent. I like Carlton Davis, I like Jamel Dean, but it's just a lot of inconsistency there. And when you're facing the Kansas City Chiefs, you're facing a team that is a pass-first offense. So if you can't stop the pass, your chances of beating Kansas City immediately go down the drain. Now, they do have a really good pass rush, and you like the matchup if you are a Buccaneers fan of your defensive line against Kansas City's offensive line. But my question is going to be, are these cornerbacks even going to be able to hang in coverage long enough on Tyreek Hill for that pass rush to hit home? That is my question, because Tyreek Hill just had a field day. So what is going to be the adjustments that the defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers are going to make when it comes to trying to slow down Tyreek Hill? Now, another question that you got to have if you are a Buccaneers fan is going to be, can the Buccaneers remain balanced on offense? Because if you are the Buccaneers and you're a Buccaneers fan, if Tom Brady has to throw the ball like 50 times to win this game, the Buccaneers' chances of winning this game are going to go down the drain, because I love Tom Brady. And I know I've been talking about the theme about how Tom Brady has been doubted, but when Tom Brady has had to really carry Tampa Bay on his back, it's kind of been, hit or miss, because some games, okay, he looks great, but some games he turns the football over way too much. Like, he nearly costed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the NFC Championship game with all the second half interceptions that he had. So if you're Bruce Arians, you have to make sure that no matter how this game goes, that you're able to somewhat be able to remain balanced and keep the Kansas City Chiefs defense at bay. You don't want to get to the point that you become so pass heavy that Tampa Bay doesn't have to worry about, Kansas City doesn't have to worry about the run at all. So if you're the Buccaneers, you got Leonard Fournette and you got Ronald Jones. Now, both of those two guys have been really good. Leonard Fournette has especially been really good throughout the playoffs so far. He was really good against Green Bay. He was good in the divisional round. So Leonard Fournette has really came on throughout this playoff run that Tampa Bay has been on. And Ronald Jones has been pretty good all year for the Buccaneers. So if the run game is at full throttle and it's being effective, I think the Buccaneers' chances of winning this game increases dramatically, because we know what the key to beating Kansas City is. You're going to have to be able to control time possession. You're going to want to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, which is easier said than done, because Kansas City can pretty much score at will whenever they want to. Now, when you go back to that Week 12 matchup when Kansas City won by 3 points, 27-24, Kansas City really dominated Tampa Bay in the first half of that game. You had the Tom Brady turnovers. You also had a Buccaneers offense that wasn't really able to be all that effective. Now, in the second half, Tampa Bay was able to put up a little bit more of a fight. They made the game really competitive. But at the end of the day, I want to see what the new game plan is going to be compared to what happened last time. Because last time, Kansas City just looked like the better team, if we're being honest. Now, when you look at Kansas City has a really big weakness on the defense side of football that really concerns me in this game. And that is their cornerback position. Their cornerback position is really suspect to me. Now, I don't think their cornerback position is downright terrible, but I don't think it's all that great. And I'm really looking for a team that can come and exploit that, because Kansas City's so good up front as well. Now, their defensive line isn't as good, in my opinion, as Tampa Bay's defensive line, but they're no slouch. So when you look at the cornerback position for the Chiefs, are they going to be able to hang, or how are they going to fare against Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Mike Evans? I don't really think they're going to be able to. So if you're Tampa Bay, you feel confident about your ability to throw the football against this Kansas City Chiefs secondary, unless Tom Brady is turning the football over. So if you're Tampa Bay and you're a Buccaneers fan, you're going into this game, you're not really worried about how successful your passing game is going to be, because you know you're going to have opportunities down the field. You're going to have some shots down the field to take advantage of that, especially with Mike Evans, because Mike Evans is one of the best 50-50 wide receivers that we have in the NFL, probably the second best one behind DeAndre Hopkins. So you really like your matchup of your wide receiver position against the cornerback position of Kansas City. Now, the team that I am going to take the win, I'm going to have to go with Tampa Bay to win this game. The reason why I'm taking Tampa Bay to win this game, which is probably going to be a big surprise to you guys, is because I really think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be able to look back at that Week 12 film. They're going to be able to come out and make some adjustments. And, of course, Kansas City is going to make some adjustments as well. But Tampa Bay is really good up front. And Kansas City's offensive line is beat down. Now, Buffalo wasn't able to exploit that in the AFC Championship game. Buffalo's defensive line and their pass rush hasn't really been all that great. It's been average at best. But you look at Tampa Bay, a team that's able to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes, a team that does have a really good group of linebackers who can easily close in on Patrick Mahomes when he gets outside the pocket and tries to extend plays. So for me, you look at Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, their playing styles are kind of similar. Now, if the Buccaneers defense was able to repeat the performance that they were able to have against the Packers in the NFC Championship game, I think they have a great chance winning the Super Bowl. Because, like I said, Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, yes, their play styles are kind of different, but they're kind of similar as well when it comes to their ability to improvise outside the pocket and extend plays and give wide receivers more time to get open. So you look at what Tampa Bay's defensive line was doing in Green Bay's offensive line, which also was dealing with injuries, and you look at Kansas City, who was pretty much in the same boat. I like Tampa Bay because of how good they are up front compared to Kansas City's offensive line. And I also think that Kansas City's defense is good, but they also have some flaws as well that can also be exploited by Tom Brady and his Buccaneers passing game. And as long as Tom Brady doesn't turn the football over, I'm going to take the Buccaneers to win this game, and I'm going to take the Bucs to win 31-27. It's my final score prediction in this game. This game is going to come down to the fourth quarter without a doubt. We know that this game is most likely not going to be a blowout. At least I'm not expecting it to be a blowout. But I think Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are going to be able to get the job done. And I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this year's Super Bowl. So let me know who you guys have winning the Super Bowl down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more.